Hey folks, Ira here. I hope you've had a great Friday. Thanks for tuning in for the Earthquake Report. Today is April the 1st, 2016. Before we discuss today's events, let's quickly review yesterday's. We clocked in 217 earthquakes yesterday, 3 of which fell within the magnitude 5 category. Marizo City, Guam, experienced a 5.4, and our pals in Indonesia saw a 5.1. Finally, Chile was shaken by a 5.0. We actually saw an impressive number of magnitude 4 earthquakes as well, the majority of which struck in and around the Ring of Fire. However, there were some exceptions. For instance, Farsan, Iran clocked in a 4.9, Greece was shaken by a 4.6, Totorol, Bolivia was rattled by a 4.4, and Turkey was hit by a 4.3. Focusing on the Ring of Fire, Alaska racked in 36, Nikolsky led the swarm with a 4.6 and even a 4. Kurilsk, Russia clocked in a 4.6. Japan experienced an uptick yesterday, which led into one of today's impressive earthquakes. 3 actually, a 4.5, a 4.2, and a 4.7 that struck Hachijojima. Outside of the previously mentioned 5.1, Indonesia clocked in 2 additional earthquakes, a 4.7 and a 4.4. Finally, Papua New Guinea, as well as the Fiji Islands, experienced a 4.6. Moving across the Pacific, we stop on Hawaii, where seismic activity has quieted down somewhat. Only 2 earthquakes experienced yesterday, one of which struck their volcano and the other rocked Honoka. Both were at 2.9. Continuing across the Pacific, we now focus on California. Los Baños experienced a 3.4. On an interesting note, this area has an elevation of only 118 feet. If the poles were to flip and our oceans were to rise as some predict, this area will most certainly be inundated by ocean water. Anyways, Cobb was next on the list to experience a notable earthquake, a 3.0 actually. Nevada clocked in 26 for the day. Hawthorne took the brunt of the activity though, the strongest there being a 2.5. Now, let's shift gears and review today's activities. This is when things become really interesting. You see, late last night, a strong 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck off Japan's southwest coast. Fortunately, there was no danger of a tsunami. The quake hit just off the coast of Japan's main Honshu Island, which is at a location of about 395 miles southwest of Tokyo. No damage or injuries were reported, though heavy shaking forced some of the country's bullet trains to temporarily stop running. Now that is wild. We follow that earthquake up with a 6.1 that just struck Ngorem, Papua New Guinea. This too originated just 75 miles off their coast with a depth of about 9.2 miles. Fortunately, no injuries have been reported and there haven't been any tsunami warnings issued. So, what are your thoughts on what could be causing these earthquakes? I'm sure that we have some that believe that these could be stemming from the recent planetary alignment, and maybe others that believe there is something else afoot. Either way, I'd like to get your take on this. Moving on, Guam continued to experience activity, this time around with a 5.5, once again striking Marizo Village. Indonesia has clocked in 3 yet again, the most intense being a 4.8. Hawaii has also experienced 3, but get this, Honoka this time around was hit with a 4.2. California has been quiet, only 66 on board. I believe this is a result of pressure being alleviated from the earthquakes like that of which we experienced in Japan and Papua New Guinea. What are your thoughts? The opposite is true for Washington today. They went from experiencing only 3 yesterday to clocking in 16 today, 11 of which originated just 20 miles outside of Vancouver in Amboy. Alaska has also been incredibly quiet, only 26 registered as of 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Interestingly enough, we have witnessed an increase in earthquake activity in Nevada. In fact, 38 have been registered, and 32 of which struck Hawthorne. 2 of these earthquakes have been fairly substantial actually, a 3.2 and a 2.7. Puerto Rico has also been busy. We've seen 5 earthquakes from there thus far, the average magnitude being a 2.6. And finally, Cumana, Peru, as well as Guatemala, both clocked in a 4.5 today. These are indeed interesting times, and there are a lot of uncertainties as to what is coming our way. If you haven't already done so, I urge you to prepare a bug-out bag of sorts, basically a portable kit that contains items one would require for 72 hours of survival during a disaster. With the Earth changing around us as it is, amongst other things, it's a good idea. And that is it for the Earthquake Report. If you experienced an earthquake today, or if you would simply like to chat, please post down below. We'd like to hear from you. Make certain to like and subscribe. Share if you feel inclined. Also, if you like the social media thing, you can link to us via the standard allotted social sites in the description. We'll end this report with a video feed from our favorite star. Have a great night, guys. Hoorah!